Talking Points has no problem with background checks or with gun registration. After all, we register our cars. But these things should be decided by the individual states, not the federal government. If a state like New York wants to ban assault rifles, fine. But Wyoming may not want to do that, and the Fed should respect states' rights. What President Obama can do is make all gun crimes federal crimes. Congress can forbid individuals from crossing state lines with certain types of weapons. Bank robbery is a federal crime. So is some drug dealing. Why not put gun felonies in that category? Let's take a look at Chicago, which has banned handguns. More people were murdered by guns in Chicago in 2012, last year, than were killed among coalition forces in Afghanistan. Obviously, the gun ban in Chicago doesn't work. Do we all get that? What would work is a 10-year mandatory federal prison term for anyone convicted of any gun crime in the Windy City or anywhere else in America. Rob a 7-Eleven with a gun, 10 years in the federal pen. Illegally possess a gun, same deal, 10 years. That's how you keep guns off the street. Don't believe me? Take a look at how drastically the crime rate has fallen in the USA over the past decade. Nationwide, violent crime down 23%. Why? Because of strict mandatory prison terms for chronic criminals. If you read the late James Wilson, the nation's smartest criminologist, you will see that punishing violent criminals harshly is the key to public safety. So let's recap again in a very simple way. Banning guns doesn't work, but limiting heavy weapons like assault rifles should be considered by the individual states. Background checks on gun buyers should be mandatory. So should gun registration. But the situation will not get any better in Chicago or anywhere else until gun crimes are federalized. And by the way, New York State did pass a tough new gun law yesterday, and it forbids publishing the names of legal gun owners if they object. Take that, the Journal News of Westchester County. And that's a memo.
Now, what the president is proposing is problematic for a couple reasons, but primarily because it doesn't work. And for many of the reasons you've outlined in the talking point memo tonight, these ideas don't work. It's not just Chicago. Washington, D.C. had a very similar gun ban, and it didn't work. In fact, violent crime and murder and all these things skyrocketed in Washington during the time of those bans. Now, I'm a concealed weapons permit holder in Florida. That means I had to have a background check. I had to be fingerprinted. I had to take a gun safety course. More people should get those kinds of
And you don't
deals.
object to any of that,
no,
right?
I mean, that's
you
the
don't
state
object
law.
to registering the gun. You don't
Right.
object to background check on you. You think that's good.
Sure, and that's the law in Florida. And by the way, also in Florida, we have something called 10-20 life. If a crime is committed in possession of a gun, it's a mandatory 10 years. If you pull out that gun, it's a mandatory 20 years. And if you use that gun, you are away for life, even the first time you commit that. And what's happened is that these criminals that use guns are in jail. They're not out there committing
And so
crimes.
my talking points memo, based on your experience, you don't disagree with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So we have some common ground here, you and me, anyway, and I'm hoping that the folks as well.